talk about rates. Freestyle rates versus your race rates. Just had a race this past weekend and had this discussion with a couple different people, and I'm noticing that people coming out racing for the first time, even if they've been racing for a while, their rates are way too damn high. I blame that on all the freestylers doing the tuning videos, and I mean, they have the coolest videos out, so people are watching them and people are copying them. But I'm telling you right now, your rates are too high for racing. Let me tell you why. Okay, so the best example I have is run and gun versus snipers in first-person shooters. If you're a run and gun kind of player, you're running around, you want those quick twitch rates because you want to be able to point and shoot, point and shoot, point and shoot. When you're a sniper, you want to be able to aim down the sights, nice and smooth. You want to be able to hit a running target, boom, and shoot them. But if your rates are too high, you're going to be jerky everywhere. It's the same when racing. Another example. This and... Alright. I'm back. Alright. So, let's use this versus this. Say you're driving. This is a steering wheel. This is a very small steering wheel, maybe for a midget. A little person, dwarf. Excuse me. If you're driving, every little turn you got right here is very dramatic. Frisbee, it's going to be a bigger steering wheel. You're turning, same movements, a lot smoother movements, a lot more subtle movements compared to this guy. So this is freestyle rates, this is racing rates. It was the biggest thing I did when I started focusing on racing this year. Whew, I ran to get that Frisbee. It's my dog's Frisbee. Anyways, this year I decided to focus on racing a lot more, and that was one of the biggest things, the quickest ways for me to improve was lowering my rates. And it's because when you're going down the course, you know, the track, you have gates and they're small little targets, and if you're going at them and you have to make a sharp turn, if you have very high rates, you're going to overcorrect, or you might overshoot, and you overcorrect and you bounce off a gate. The smaller or the lower your rates are, it's harder for you to overcorrect. Not only that, but when you're racing, you have nerves. Your nerves are going crazy, your fingers are shaking, and when your rates are really low, little twitching movements make a big difference in your race. You'll end up crashing out most likely. When you lower your rates and you use the full range of your stick, so if you have a hard 180, Brian Morris, for example, I was talking to him about this weekend, and he has to use the full range to hit a 180, and same with me. To hit a 180, a full like hard turnabout, he has to use the full extent of his sticks to make that move, and he can do it. You can do it too. If you adjust your rates right now and you go out and race, you're going to feel very sluggish at first, but give it a full day of practice, because at the end of the day, you're going to find yourself improving your lines, you're going to find yourself getting better lap times, and your race footage is going to look a lot better. So I'm going to jump on Betaflight. I'll show you my rates. I actually have 3 different sets of rates I use, and I have them set to switch, which I'll do in another video somewhere up here. You can see it. And yeah, let's take a look.
This is my main race profile, and as you can see, it's pretty low. If you're comparing it to yours, this might seem very dramatic. Very, very drastically low compared to yours. And that's because I've been experimenting for several months and getting lower and lower. I actually got this all the way down to in the hundreds at one point, and this one was in the 200s before I started having poor performance out on the track. And so then I upped it up until I raised it up until I got good performance out there on the track, and I left it there. As you see, yaw though is 713 degrees per second, and I've left that really high, or fairly high, at least it's high to me, because this is what I started out flying with, and my left stick, my thumb is just used to this. And I noticed when I started lowering it to see how it would affect my racing, I actually had issues with throttle control at that point, because if I had a yaw left hard, I would lower my throttle too much, and I kept having issues. So being able to move my thumb just a little bit for yawing ended up helping me control my throttle a lot better, and so I just left this there. But when it really comes to racing, pitch was the main factor as far as getting low, because this was controlling your altitude, and having a low low pitch made sure for me at least, that I wasn't catching the ground when I was going full throttle, and I wasn't catching gates. I was able to maintain very consistent altitude. And the same with roll, just lowering my roll down. I actually like it a little bit higher than my pitch. I want to be able to yaw hard around slaloms and do 180 hairpin turns, and be able to also do split S's relatively responsive. And so this is my main race profile right here. But when I'm first getting onto a track, or I'm in a new location, anytime I'm in a new location actually, and I'm not racing, this is my profile right here, because this is a little bit higher. It's still lower than my freestyle profile. So real quick, this is my freestyle profile, 917 degrees per second on pitch and roll. I have them the same because when I'm doing tricks, I want my pitch and my roll to have the same timing. That way, after battery or two, I get that timing down and I can perform everything just based on the timing itself. It's very predictable at that point. My pitch isn't going to respond differently than my roll during flips, and it just helps for freestyle flying. But when it comes to racing around, majority of the time, I'm not flipping around like crazy. And so 610 and 394 degrees per second for roll and pitch respectively is my preferred rates in a new area. This is especially helpful in the new areas and new tracks because I don't have my lines down yet. I don't know exactly the best lines. And so if I'm having to bail out, I want to be able to respond very quickly, and my normal race rates are too low for that. The normal race rates that I have that are even lower are great when I know my track very well, or the area I'm flying very well, because I'm not going to have to bail out as often, and so I can really stick it to my lines and get through it. And as you can see throughout all of my profiles, my yaw stays the same. This is something you're going to want to test yourself, but just lowering your rates down, if you're running this 917 or similar degrees per second, those are freestyle rates. If you even just drop them down to something like this, 600, and you can even keep it, if you want to keep it the same on pitch and roll, you're going to notice a big difference in your racing. And once you start seeing that difference, you're going to continue playing with it like I did. I started off just lowering each one by 100 for a battery, and then I did another 100 for a battery and kept doing a track. I had a track set up, and I just kept lowering it until I got down to, it was like 400-ish, and then I started messing with my pitch, lowering that even more until I was comfortable. And once I did that, I was close to this area when I was really starting to hit my best times and my most comfortable sticks. And once I got below this, though, it got too sluggish for me, and I couldn't fly around a track comfortably. Something else I want to point out is I don't use RC Expo on any of my profiles. And the reason being is because right here, you don't have a linear stick response as is, meaning this is a linear stick response. This is all the way through the whole throttle range. Your throttle is going to respond the same. So if you add Expo into it, you start getting the same looking range as your other sticks. And so basically you're already starting off with Expo up here. It's not linear. And so the reason people want to do, let's leave that alone, refresh. The reason people want to do Expo sometimes is because they think it's going to give them a more smooth center stick, which it does. As you see, you have a lot more predictable center stick, which gives you smoother flying. But if you ever have to correct majorly and you hit that certain spot right there, your quad becomes really unpredictable and really jerky at that point, which in the end causes wrecks, or at least for me, it caused wrecks more than it helped. And I want my sticks to be as predictable as possible in pretty much all scenarios. And so I leave Expo alone. Finally, lastly, PID controller settings is something I've been messing with a lot more lately. I think when it was on default, it was, I don't want to reset that because that might be bad. I think it was up here somewhere. This one was like, it was up higher. And so I started messing with it, and based on just what it says, it's going to give you a slower, smoother stick response the lower it is, and the higher it is, it's going to be more responsive and more stick acceleration. I didn't mind it where it was at, but I wanted to see how it affected me with racing, especially the more low this got. And I found I ended up liking it. It made for better lines, faster lap times for me, almost as if the sticks were fighting me a little bit. and that's good. If your sticks are fighting you a little bit, I think is okay for racing, because you're not going to, especially when you're out there and you're racing and you're nervous, you don't want little twitchy movements throwing you off. So yeah, there you go. This is what I've done to improve my racing. It really did, just over the course of a couple days of lowering these rates and practicing with them. My racing improved, my lines improved, my speeds improved. So I really recommend you giving it a shot and going out there and kicking some ass on the tracks. The next video I have planned is I'm going to show you how to set up 3 different rate profiles to a 3-position switch on your transmitter. So thanks for watching. I hope you subscribe, and see you in the next video.